Hey folks, it's Belgrade Beat, and I wanted to make this video about an article in the New York Post, which is about New Yorkers moving to Belgrade. So yeah, this is the article, and we'll get into that in a second. But anyways, I've been away from Belgrade for 2 weeks now. I am in Mexico, another country where you can actually just fly these days and get in without any test or quarantine. I'm having a great time here. Life is pretty normal, just like the Belgrade that this article talks about. So yeah, it was getting sad in Serbia, 2 weeks ago, and it got even sadder, even more since then. So I'm happy with my life decision to get out of there and come to Mexico because November was always my least favorite time of year, let me tell you. So yeah, here we go. Serbia is a new unlikely oasis for New York City residents fleeing the city. All right. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting because, well, I mean, I've spent a lot of time in New York City, even lived there for like as much as like 1.5 months at a time. And basically, they say here it reminds me of Williamsburg, circa 2010. And actually, the year that I lived in New York City the most consecutive time was in 2009, and the neighborhood was Williamsburg. And I arrived there straight out of Belgrade. I'd spent it was 2009. I spent January, February, and most of March in Belgrade. And then I went to New York City and stayed in Williamsburg, crashing at my friend's uncle's place. And yeah, so basically they're comparing the vibe in Belgrade today to that era of New York City. For those who don't know, Williamsburg is a neighborhood of, that's where I am now. Look at this, lucky me. Woo, Playa del Carmen. Woo, Caribbean. Woo. Anyways, Williamsburg is a neighborhood of New York City that is known as like one of the sort of capital or hipster capitals, as the hipster Hitler people like to call, who want to round up the hipsters and execute them. Um, Hipsters, yeah. Anyways, Williamsburg is right across the bridge from Manhattan, and it's a very trendy sort of neighborhood with a vibe. Yeah, I guess the equivalent would be Dorchel, right? It's kind of upscale and it's kind of cool, kind of trendy, close to like, stuff. It's near the water. What else can I tell you? So they're comparing Serbia now to that neighborhood then. Okay. It's a fair comparison, but I would say that Belgrade was better in 2009 for me personally than it is now. It was more exciting. Maybe it's just because most of the time since then I've actually lived in Belgrade and nothing is a surprise anymore. Whereas back in 2009, it was literally like the yeah, those 3 months at the start of 2009 were like the fourth, fifth, and sixth months I had lived in Belgrade in my life. So very exciting. Anyways, so basically, I now pay half of what I paid in New York during a pandemic to live out in a suite overlooking all of Belgrade. It's a no-brainer. And he's living in Mama Shelter, which is actually a hotel on the right, Sheva, a shopping mall right next to Knez Mihailova and Kalemegdan Park. And basically, yeah, it's probably really expensive for Belgrade standards. Whereas like you can get an Airbnb, really decent Airbnb in Belgrade for like 15 to 20 euros. I'm guessing this is more, maybe like $50, and he was paying like $2,000 a month for an apartment in New York City or something, and now he's paying $50 a night, and or maybe it's $1,000 for his hotel room for the whole month. I don't know, but definitely you should be paying maybe like if you're renting an apartment. I mean, the place where I live, it's not that much money, so yeah. And basically, they're comparing Belgrade with the vibrant, like that it's like going back in time before the pandemic. I'm not so sure because Belgrade did change this year with the pandemic, but people just tend to not give a shit as much because they've been through worse. And so the Serbian mindset is very proud. They don't see a virus as getting in the way of their success and happiness. Yeah. Well, um, I would say some people do. Some people are really afraid of it. Some people are not really afraid of it. Lots of people are getting it. We'll see what the fallout is from that. People are dying, that's for sure. The hospital system is kind of overloaded, that's for sure. It's a shame. It's really bad. But yeah, still, Serbs will always get on with their lives because they've been through worse, and worse than a virus that has like a 90 upper 90s rate of survival. Anyways, yeah, there's no quarantine for Americans entering Belgrade or anyone else who doesn't need a visa normally. Pre-pandemic rules are in effect in Serbia still, except for if you're coming from Bulgaria, Romania, Croatia, and North Macedonia. I believe you need a PCR test if you've been there for more than 12 hours, I guess. Anyways, yeah, normal open borders. And a lot of people actually did end up in Belgrade because us people like me who travel the world and kind of really make their life all about that in some way, you're not going to stop us with this stupid pandemic. That's why I'm in Mexico. Mexico has a million cases, like so far, of coronavirus, and I'm here and I'm happy. And I might get it, and I'll probably be fine. I've taken every precaution. Like, look at all these supplements, like zinc, vitamin C. I mean, I've got all this stuff, oregano oil over there, and I'm strengthening my immune system, and I'm living my life. And that's what I think you should do too, because one thing you do have control over is your own habits and your own body, and staying healthy, getting lots of sunshine. You saw as winter set on, the cases in Serbia went as everyone predicted would happen, and then now it is happening, and it's messed up. Anyways, but back to the New York City thing. So Americans, being from Canada, I know the mentality of the Americans. It's almost the same, more or less, same language at least, and dialect, and kind of mainstream culture. And yeah, I mean, the appeal of Belgrade back then in 2009, 2008 was when I first came to live there for 3 months, basically. Yeah, end of June until end of September 2008. And then those months I mentioned in 2009. The appeal was that it was a place that was wild, vibrant, friendly, cheap, cultural, interesting, fascinating, all this stuff. And you could live the life that you always wanted to live in North America, in Serbia. And this is what I think a lot of people here are tapping into when they come to Belgrade. Like, wow, this is a version of European culture that has, you know, been sort of developed, that has a lot of the good things that I like about my North American culture or my, Western European culture, but a lot less bullshit these days. And I saw that back then, and I realized that, right, a lot of the things that I liked about North America, like the convenience, the stability, the diversity of foods, and conveniences of life, like all that sort of, whatever it is, shopping mall, da, 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 they were coming to Serbia. Americanization was happening. It was on its way. All of the stuff from life was going to come there, and remote working was going to be a thing, right? So I realized that basically Belgrade was going to become a lot more like North America, and it has a lot, a lot, a lot. And I lived 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months for about 3 years, 3 months in Serbia, 3 months in Canada. And I became very acquainted with the differences. And I started my own parties called Wild East, Balkan style parties, Balkan style alternative, electronic and rock, whatever, music parties in Toronto, getting lots of Serbian diaspora people involved in that. And from that scene, I realized that it was harder to make my life, like, I would ultimately win more of the battle to make my life in Serbia like the things like North America, the things that I liked from there, than I would to try to make my life in North America, in Toronto, Canada, like what I liked from Serbia. That pulse of life of Belgrade, vibrant, friendly people, sense of identity, pride, history, all that stuff. It was hard to bring that to North America, and it was very easy to bring the sort of capitalist success, functioning society thing to Serbia if I were just to figure out a way to do remote working, which I did ultimately. Now it's a no-brainer. And a lot of these people are coming with their remote jobs. And yeah, if you come to Serbia with a remote job, definitely you have an advantage because the local economy stinks. People in Serbia are generally very bad at business. They're fucking each other over for small change. They're unreliable. Well, there's lots of Serbian businesses that do things right. But the whole thing is kind of like a system that's kind of rigged against you if you're a normal person looking for a job. And so my vision was always to get money from the West and live off of it in Serbia. And that's what I have always done. I never got a local job in Serbia at all. And I'm pretty damn happy about that. So Serbia, the city has a magical way of healing you. Yeah, actually, I would say I would agree with this statement. Just the vibe of being in a culture where people are less uptight in that sort of North American uptight way than people in North America. Being in Belgrade really healed me a lot, where I realized that I had true friendship and true connection with people that was not didn't have the boundaries of things like political correctness, holding respect, didn't have like everybody like so focused on their career and work that, you know, it's hard to even like meet them for a coffee. And, you know, people have less inhibitions, less aversion to telling the truth in Belgrade and speaking their mind. And it's a very real place compared to a lot of places in North America, which have this fake sort of smile all the time culture where everybody's asking, how are you? But they don't really care. And, you know, and it's all about money and it's all about me, a very individualist society. To go back to Serbia, which has a very sort of collectivist society, really makes it kind of healing, because you realize that all the things that you were driving towards burning yourself on, they don't matter. What matters is that you're comfortable with yourself, having a good time, enjoying good food with good people, and having good times. That's the most important thing in life. And so, yeah, I see how they're picking up on that and how it's like, yeah, if things keep going the way they are in the United States with social unrest and lockdowns, I think more and more people will come here. I really hope so. I've been actually working for the last, you know, 5 or so years with my business support venture to ensure that people have options to work online full time and move to places like Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and so on and so forth. Because I really believe that the American empire, North America, is kind of in decline, and there's a amount of division in the society and an amount of shutting down of dialogue and shutting down of actual discussion, real discussion. You know, you see things like um, I saw this I saw this coming like years ago. That's why I started moving to Serbia in 2008, because I felt like in Canada I was in a society that was like postmodern sort of like place that could very easily become a dystopia because people did not really know what their culture was, and they were just kind of following the mainstream media, and like decades of predatory capitalism and mass marketing had brainwashed them so much that people weren't really living their lives according to any sort of values. They were just sort of like chasing shiny objects. And to come to Serbia, where people were essentially, you know, just living their lives and having a good time, and you know, knew who they were and what they stood for, and were passionate about the things they were passionate about, and you know, like didn't care about the rest. It was very refreshing. Now, I don't think that makes the best economy. It's better to have people chasing shiny objects, so they work to earn money. To no. Serbs are, in general, I think, too content with where they are and complaining about the lack of opportunity while working very little to create opportunities for themselves. That's a disadvantage. But the advantage is coming to a place where people do know how to enjoy life a little bit more than they do in North America, where everything is cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Right. So let's go down the article some more. Yeah. So everybody in this article is from some sort of Brooklyn neighborhood, and yeah, looking for that Williamsburg feeling. Now, does Belgrade look like Williamsburg did in 2009? A bit, yeah. Yeah, like, these sorts of places that popped up. But did Belgrade look like that in 2009? Not really. So, yeah, if I could go back right now and live in Belgrade in 2009, would I do it? 100%, because it was a much more exciting and lively place, even though it's still very exciting and lively. There was just sort of excitement about life that slowly got sort of, yeah, it got sort of sapped out of the culture. And part of the reason was all of this Americanization stuff, right? But the city still remains a soul. It remains with its soul. It still remains a vibrant place, and I'd still rather live in Belgrade than almost anywhere else. I just, don't like this season of November or the winter. But in the spring I'll be back. If things are normal, as they were this spring when I got back after the whole lockdown period. I got back on May 25th, and everything was normal again. Hallelujah. And then, some shenanigans started happening again over like July and stuff. And now we're here. And, it was pretty normal up until a few weeks ago, but things were getting cold. And now we're here, guys. We're here. And I'm here in Mexico. Hola. So basically, yeah. And then there's there's this whole sort of thing about, I'm fully aware of how it seems to people to travel during a worldwide pandemic. People are either happy I'm still traveling or doing my thing, or say you're putting others at risk. Hey, that's exactly the sort of thing that I saw growing in North America. The fucking way that everybody there seems to know everything about how every fucking human being on this fucking planet should live their fucking lives. In Serbia, we have lots of opinionated assholes, but you don't have to listen to them. And there's no uniform opinion among different people. There's lots of contrasting opinions, contrasting lifestyles, and stuff like that. Whereas, like, everybody in North America, a lot of people in North America have made up their mind about the pandemic, and that, locking down society and making everybody poor is the way to deal with this. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm always in the middle, entertaining the contradictory ideas. I like my freedom. That's why I'm in Mexico right now, where everything's open as normal. Apparently, people were wearing lots of masks here, but then there was a hurricane about 4 weeks ago here. And after that, almost nobody wears masks. So it's similar to Serbia, where they've been through worse, so they know how to get through this sort of thing a little better. Whereas people in North America, they haven't been through this sort of thing before in their lifetimes. 9/11 was close, but that was just like a thing that happened that was, an event. It wasn't something that actually affected as many people's lives as the coronavirus is affecting now, and certainly nothing that affected people's lives as much as the lockdowns and restrictions are affecting people's lives now. So they're going through this, and nobody in North America knows what to do. They don't have a map, but there's lots of bossy people who think that they know what you should do with your life, and think that they can tell you what to do. And that's what you largely escape when you come to a place like Serbia, especially a foreigner. And this is the thing that I always say, folks: coming to Serbia as a foreigner is a rose-tinted experience, where you're wearing rose-tinted glasses and you do not see, or you do not have to confront. You might see it in people, and why does everybody look so miserable, or why do some people act grumpy and stuff like that, but you won't have it in your face like other Serbian people will, who have to listen to lots of people that they know complaining every day until the end of time and from the beginning of time. So you're coming to Serbia, you get a rose-tinted view of the society, and, well, it ain't bad as a foreigner in Serbia. People are very happy to, sort of like welcome you, and basically want to show the best of the culture to you. So, should more people from the West move to Serbia? Yes, I'm totally for that. I've made lots of videos about this. I am the person who's most visible on YouTube, who encourages his people to give it a try and move to Serbia and try it and become a part of the society. We need more people bring money and new ideas into the country, because there's lots of bad ideas in the country, especially around business. And it can really benefit from people coming in, and the expats that I know who have contributed to the society in Serbia have done so really in a big way, really, really in a big way. And I like to be one of those people, and we need more people like that. And the best thing about Serbia is people, a lot of them speak English and are willing to engage in idea swaps of ideas, conversations over a beer where you get to more truth in life. So you can learn as a foreigner from the Serbian people, and they will learn from you. And the more international, the better. There's all these Serbian nationalist people who do not want foreigners to move in as much. Okay, fair enough. I don't think they're moving to Kragujevac, so maybe you can go and stay there if you don't like foreigners. But Belgrade is and has been for a long time. Maybe it wasn't so much in the 90s, but it is now. And definitely during the times of Yugoslavia, it was a cosmopolitan city that was open to the world. And I'm so glad that in this corona pandemic, that after May 22nd, Serbia opened its borders again and welcomed everybody. And, the more courageous people are doing this right now, coming to check out the country where they can go during the pandemic, and the lame ass, uptight losers are staying home. So thank you all for watching this video. I'm going to keep this going, this channel, while I'm away, with topics like this that are important to Serbia, important discussions to have about Serbia, and maybe I have a few videos in the archive that I will post, that I filmed already when I was in Belgrade. So thanks a lot, everybody, and have a great day. Bye now.